All right, I think we're ready to begin. Let's just start. Welcome everyone. Very happy to have all of you here. It's a great pleasure for us at Eventpreneur to host this event. Just to take a little bit of a check on what we are talking about today. The topic, as we all know, is about virtual events. Now, virtual events, while we're all sort of still grappling with what we need to do, what we don't need to do. We're all kind of finding our feet in this domain at this moment. So we thought that what better way to educate, create more awareness, a lot more learning and knowledge than invite in some of our experts from all around the world. So I'm very happy to introduce today the team at Buzznation. Buzznation has been a partner and a supporter of Eventpreneurs for a very long time, and we're very happy to have them with us as our knowledge partners on board. Let me introduce first Ratnesh Singh. Ratnesh is the founder of Buzznation. He comes with 17 years of global marketing experience, the ex-head of global flagship events at Infosys, with experience of more than 500 live events across 12 countries. He's based in London and heads the global business for Buzznation at the moment. Then we have with us Matt Ward. Matthew is also the co-founder of Buzznation, a technology specialist, published author. He has a track record of collaborating with global level, enterprise level organizations, aligns creative tech marketing strategies with business goals. He heads Buzznation's UK and EU offices, essentially specializing in creating signature virtual experiences. And then we have with us Tariq Ahmed. Tariq is an event tech expert, comes with 10 years of managing and delivering event automation solutions to Fortune 50 companies. Also an expertise in marketing and event automation tools such as Cvent and Eloqua. Grows ROI for Google Cloud, McKinsey Corp, and Infosys. He's currently the head of technology integration at Buzznation. So to begin with, I'm going to start with Ratnesh. Ratnesh, how are you doing?
Great, great. Thank you, Lavina, for having us here, and it's great to be a part of your your initiative and your efforts around driving events technology in India. So great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's just begin with why don't you just tell us a little bit about Buzznation, and then we can just go forward after that.
Absolutely. So thanks for this opportunity. We obviously have three people on the call today to kind of put our position in front of your audience. So we have Matt, as you mentioned, and Tariq joining us from India. So very quickly, we are an events technology company started 4 years back, and then we kind of grew to the US and to the UK markets. I think over the past 2-3 years of our existence, we have done more than a couple of hundred event executions from an events technology standpoint. And I think the virtual, the virtual events is basically an online extension of that same story, right? So essentially, for Buzznation, the current situation kind of fits into our story. We are a bunch of events technology experts with offices in US, UK, and India. And essentially, some of our top clients in the US, for example, was one of the best pharma, McKesson, Infosys, Biocon, Emphasis, and several other technology companies. Most of our clients are enterprise, so it's a great client base to work with. They are very supportive of all the global initiatives which we are suggesting to them, especially on events and marketing technology. And I think it's a privileged position to have great clients like them. So that's broadly, Lavina, where we are at Buzznation, and happy to take it forward today on the call.
Thank you, Ratnesh. Good to learn about Buzznation a little bit. I'm going to ask my next question to Matt. Matt, tell us a little bit, just tell me on a little bit of a high level, what's actually going on with your clients globally? We know that everyone's trying to rewire their marketing for the next 12 months or so. So can you give us a little bit of an overview of what's happening around in the world?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks very much, Lavina. Yeah. So I don't really need to start by saying what's going on in the world. I think everyone's more than aware enough of the problems that a lot of people are facing at the moment. That's obviously caused a huge shift in the way that people have to, or companies and organizations have to think about connecting with their customers, building new audiences and engaging with them. Just because a lot of the traditional events routes, face-to-face meetings, and those channels are not available for the moment. We're not exactly sure how long that situation is going to go on for. No one with any intelligence is going to sit here and say it's all going to be over by any set time. We know that. But at the same time, what we're doing isn't entirely new. So the interest in virtual events and in webinars and in developing new ways to use digital channels to engage with customers and audiences in event-like ways isn't entirely new. It was a strong trend before COVID. It's become a huge trend now during COVID. And going forward, what we're seeing is that organizations are now becoming very aware of the benefits that it has. There are certain undeniable benefits like, environmental impact, that sort of thing. Hours lost to travel. There are certain things that virtual just does a lot better. And in those cases, we know already from what people are telling us, it's going to very much be a part of people's plans going forward, regardless of what happens with international pandemics and that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean that's what we're seeing, and that's the trend that we've responded to. And from there on, it's just really about us trying to understand what our customers' needs are.
Right. Okay. So, Ratnesh, let me just come back to you for a moment here. Can you tell us what are the specific types of events that are actually going virtual now? Anything specific that you're seeing? What are the trends that are happening? What are the kinds of events that are going virtual?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything is going virtual, isn't it? I mean, at the moment, probably that is the only option which people have. But again, given the kind of clientele we have globally at the moment, and obviously we are talking to clients in all three countries at the moment. But there are a lot of commonalities in terms of what corporate clients are looking at. So obviously, conferences, which means client prospect kind of conferences. This is something which is obviously going back up online, and obviously this is something which is powered more by industry bodies at the moment, but companies are also following into that at the moment. Trade shows, definitely a lot of trade shows are going online, especially buyer-seller trade shows. Like we are working on a large project for a US client where 70 fashion retailers, for example, want to create a virtual space for their clients to come in. It's an always on demand environment, right? So for example, trade shows, product launches everywhere, given different kind of platforms. I mean, and this is where the creativity is coming. So people are not really bound by platforms or not really bound by certain technology, but people are trying to use existing technology in more creative ways. So I've seen a lot of interesting product launches going around.
Yeah.
Internal sales meet. Obviously, this is something which may continue to be virtual going forward. And to give you an example, we had a large technology client from India. I mean, last year they actually did a $14 million a sales meet, right, in the US, and they do it every year, right? And that is something which has now gone completely virtual. Given our experience, it was actually more engaging in the sense that people could actually be at home, have focused meeting sessions. Honestly, a lot of progress was made, because obviously the challenge of of online is the the physical meeting that was missing, right? But then with that apart, I mean, a lot of work got done probably, and maybe the CFO of that company may be thinking for next year that this is not something I would like to spend 14 million on again, right? But it will all depend on companies and their priorities. Like, there could be companies who will still feel that but then even in that, right, like I know this company I'm talking about, they had like 900 to 1400 sales guys traveling to the US every year, right, from all over the world.
Right.
And but they still had around 1500 guys who could not travel because they have restrictions, everybody cannot go there. But now they can also be a part of this, right, even if they don't travel. So basically, again, digital virtual is enabling a lot of internal sales need, marketing, a lot of stuff, and these are the ones which continue forward like this. Again, CEO address, online retail stores. I think Matt could touch upon this. Like, we are proposing to Mercedes here in the UK. They basically want to have a store around whatever they do in the Formula One space, right? So we
Right.
are again working with different technology companies to kind of again these are things which don't happen using one technology, right? So it is an integration. What is the way forward is all about integration, right? So I think broadly these are the kind of events, and these are across the board, US, UK, or India, does not matter. More or less, this is what is coming up for us as well, and for everybody, I guess.
Yeah, but this is, you touched upon a really nice point. This is the beauty of this, that where we were restricted to one location, so now the whole world is open out to us. And a company actually doing something does not need to do 20 events in various parts of the world. They can just do one mega event virtually and have everyone join in. And
Yeah.
it also builds a lot of networking between the global members. And I think that's really a beautiful thing about virtual events. You know. Yeah. So, Ratnesh, I'm just going to take this to Tariq now. Tariq, tell me something. We always hear a whole lot of questions about what are the best and reliable platforms. Everyone is kind of stuck in what are the platforms that we need to use. So tell us, from your experience and the background that you come with, what is your take on the best platforms for virtual events?
First of all, thank you for having me, Lavina, and the Eventpreneur team.
Yes, thank
Okay, so the question really actually has two parts. You're talking about the best, and then we are talking about the reliable.
you. Right.
So, right, the interestingly, the situation that we currently are now, it's too dynamic. Things are changing every new day.
Absolutely.
So companies, those were the best companies, or the platforms, those were the best platform maybe 6 months ago. They are no more the best platforms,
Okay.
right? That's the reality. So, as per my understanding of this, so there are a lot of platforms. There are many platform providers in the market. There are a lot of new ones that are coming up with some interesting things that they can actually do, and they're trying to hit the niche. Uh, so the point is, if you ask me about which platform is the best, I don't see the platform as best, but what I see is like any platform, if you are doing any kind of marketing event, if you think that particular platform can really help you in getting the attendee engagement, and you can actually deliver using that platform, at least it can fulfill 80% of your requirements, that platform is the best platform. Second point is reliability. Is the platform that you're using, is it reliable or not? So reliability is since they are just new startups that are coming up with some new technology, and they actually flash you the new technology, but when you start to use it, you don't know where exactly you would end up, right? Basically, reliability will always remain a question. So you are, as a technology provider, whenever you're getting into a technology, you have to perform some basic tests based on your events, based on your past events. For example, I'm going to use this example of one of the recent events that we did. This client actually would have about 30,000 people on their actual when they were doing their regular events. Now they wanted to move everything to a 3D event because they cannot do the actual event anymore. So when they moved from a regular event to 3D event, the number of attendees increased from 30,000 to 60,000. And when they reached out to us, obviously they are actually reaching out to the different platform providers, some new startups, some companies which are there in the market for like 5 years, 6 years. But and whenever they would go to them, the answer, like every salesperson is just trying to sell their product to them, and they just continue to say that okay, it's going to work, right? But when they really came to us, we first of all, like all of us, are the event experts, and we have some experience. So we actually understood the requirement from the client, and we understood what possibly could be the issue as far as technology is concerned. For example, the possible issue that I could foresee was load. So suddenly from 30,000, you will get an attendee size of 60,000 hitting a particular domain continuously. Your website or your platform might even crash. So there are multiple checks that we have to do depending upon the size of the event that you have, and so reliability is like if your platform provider is able to give you is able to answer all your questions in black and white, plus he's been able to show you some proof of work in the past, like maybe they might have done those events. And I'm not saying that speaking to a sales guy and just asking for whether they have done that or not, but ask for the proof of work. If they have done it, they should be able to give you some proof of work. They should be able to give you about some kind of contingency plans, come up with the issues that you foresee, and they should be able to come up with some contingency plans. Because if they are reliable, they know what could be the possible issues, and if that happens, what will be the actual solution. I hope that answers.
Yes, thank you, Tariq. That answered. Guys, I just want to tell all of you all, in case there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box so that we can address them with all the speakers. Anything that, any question that comes to mind, please feel free to put it up. And Tariq, I have another question for you. There's another, what can I say, notion going around of a lot of agencies who are thinking about whether it is better to build their own platform and eventually, start using their own platforms, or is it better to go with a license, just license an existing platform? What do you have to say on that?
Sure. Actually, that's a very good question. And in my decade of experience of working on in this event industry and majorly around technology, I worked with multiple clients, like the clients, those were the giant IT giants, and there were moments that they actually thought of coming up with their own platform altogether.
Right.
So getting your own platform, it's great, actually, but you will always notice that it's never always about the platform. It's always like when you might come up with a small team of developers and get the product developed because you're a big IT company, but now maintenance of that product is one cost, and then continuously updating that product with the things like GDPR that happened last year and new policies that would come to you by every region. So you will have to be compliant. Like you will have to be compliant to everything, and you'll have to continuously keep on updating your platform as the requirement changes, as the requirement of the market changes. So eventually, like there are some of my past clients who tried to build a platform, but they eventually realized that it's better to really buy a license of a platform provider who has been there in the market, who knows the market pretty well, and who are the market experts. So they prefer going to products like Webex, or like depending upon the requirement, they would go to products like Webex or LinkedIn Live or maybe Cvent or Hyperfair. So depending upon what is it that they want. And one thing I also want to mention here, Lavina, these accounts, as a marketing expert, it's always expected from you that you know your attendee pretty well. Because depending upon the size of the event that you're doing, maybe you might be doing a conference, or maybe you might be doing an internal employee meet, or maybe a webinar or something else, right? One product or one solution cannot really be the discipline of all your events.
That's a good point. Oh, that's a really nice point. Yeah.
So this is what I've noticed, that when I would work with these big giants, IT giants, they are one thing, they are not inclined towards building their own product because it's too much of an investment for them. And second thing is, they actually go with multiple products because they know and understand about, like, they actually might want to use something like Hopin or maybe AirMeet for their webinars, or they might want to use something like Hyperfair for their expos, and they might want to do something like Certain or Cvent just for taking registration in their event. So they actually take multiple licenses depending upon their budget and everything. So, and generally, like, this is where we generally come, like, because we are somebody like, as a as a as a technology partner for these kind of clients. Our major job is to be just keep is just to be always on hunt for new technology, and our major challenge is to always stay on top of the latest technology, because
Right. Yeah. There's so many new
right.
platforms that are coming up every day. It's almost difficult to sort of keep up with them. So yeah, I think very, very important for clients to look
Lavina,
for experts.
Lavina, sorry to get in, but I
No,
just
no,
wanted
sure, please.
to kind of add on to what Tariq had just mentioned,
Yeah,
and I just wanted to touch upon the build your platform part, right? So,
right.
I mean, the thing is, as the way we see it, right? Now, just to give you an example, if we are the event managers, so I'm just talking from an agency perspective. If
Right.
we are the event managers, and so we do always have a choice. Do we go with organizing our events at a Taj property or an Oberoi property, right? Or a Hyatt property? We have that option as an event manager, right? So based on what my client selects from a brand perspective, from a F&B, he has his criteria, right? So you select from a Taj or an Oberoi
Uh,
or another brand,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now you also have the opportunity to open your own hotel, right, and offer that to your clients. So
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
it's really there. We the way we see it, we are the online technology event managers, right?
Right.
We
Right.
don't really care about which platform we are using, because the value we bring to our clients is just like you would, give them a list of 10 hotels. We'll give them a list of 10 technologies with our inputs on what we feel could work for them, because it kind of covers a lot of their criteria. So just wanted to add that. And for example, even in our company, and some of the guys, we had this whole thing about building our own platform. At the moment, we have decided against it, right? For example, it's not a shut chapter, but for the moment, because our clients are able to kind of do with what is there in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
market. So,
Why reinvent the wheel when there's already so many?
and
So
actually, that way we have more options, right, to offer to my customers. Otherwise, I'll only be selling my technology. Mostly, we'll be push marketing it. It may not
yeah.
even get fit, right? So we kind of want to be a platform agnostic uh, approach. We are taking that approach which we bring, so we can now offer Taj, Oberoi, Hyatt, resort or city, whatever it is,
Right.
we can give it to you. So I think that's the positioning. I think in our view that works for us.
Yeah.
And so we probably don't want to get into the building of a platform game for the moment. Yeah.
Super.
Uh,
So actually, Ratnesh, while you're here, let me just, there's something that I wanted to also ask you. From a marketing manager's perspective, tell me, what are the steps that one needs to follow to create a successful virtual event? Number one, what are the steps? And number two, which is, I think, probably a more important question, is what are the challenges? So let's, just tell us a little bit about that.
I was on another webinar 2-3 days back, and the first thing I would like to say that it is full of challenges, right? So obviously, because the whole thing is everybody is learning, and that's the good part, right? Everybody is willing to accept that the other guy can make mistakes, right?
Right.
And I think that's a very collaborative environment, honestly, to operate in, because usually, like early on, like a couple of months back, an existing client asked me that, hey, by the way, how many virtual events have you guys done? And we said, listen, if we would have done, we would have done with you, right? Because you are my clients. So I mean,
Yeah.
we have that funny discussion, right? So everybody is learning at the moment. We have a set of capabilities which we bring to the table. The client has a set of demands and objectives which they bring to the table. They have the blessings from their management that go ahead, try new things, make those mistakes. We are okay with that.
Right.
I think it's a great way. But then coming back to how can marketing managers or brand managers kind of look at this? And look, one of the thing is I come from a marketing background myself at Infosys around
Right.
7 to 8 years, right? So I think what I can say is first and foremost, everybody needs to upgrade their technology knowledge, read up a lot more than you have done before, because you don't want to depend on an agency or a partner to educate you.
Right.
You should be more aware of, right, about what's happening. And then you go to your partner who brings excessive value by knowing, doing something more than what you as a brand manager already know or can do, right? So that's there. So I think the first step obviously is to find the right kind of company who you want to work for, right?
Sure.
Event technology implementations in other organizations have taken months and years. This is not something which you can do overnight in a large
Absolutely.
company, right? So it has
Absolutely.
taken months and years. You should have the right partner who can have a 3 year, 5 year because the thing is, some of the organizations which do have an initial set of event technology maybe started with 10 events, the technology adoption, and went on to 40, right? And it can go up further. But to go from 10 to 40 took 2 years, right? I mean, every team is not using that, not willing, or it was slow. Later, everybody saw some of the projects really doing well, and then the adoption really started. I always feel that as an ex-marketer, we are like kids,
Yeah.
running through all the success stories all the time. So I think finding the right partner is very important for you, a partner who you can trust. And what I've also seen is a partner who you are willing to grow and groom for your advantage, right?
Right.
And the thing is, event technology, you don't take change partners every day because there's so much you have to share with them, including the new things around GDPR, data compliance. I mean, you don't want to spend another 6 months bringing a new partner because you did not find the first partner right, right? So I think that is really important. So upgrade your skills and knowledge, find the right partner, and then provide your requirement to that partner, let him go do the work and come back to you with those solutions which you are looking at, right? So they kind of help you manage the technology infrastructure while you focus on your event, your theme, your speakers, everything else, your internal stuff, right? So obviously, so if you are able to upgrade your knowledge, get the right partner, get a buy-in from your organization that these are the steps we should be doing and these are the benefits. Once you have sold that, I think, as I said earlier, it's all about co-creating with your partners, right? So I think that's the whole thing. Just 4 steps, Lavina, what I would say for any marketing manager, brand manager in any company.
Super. All right. So, I mean, but still, I mean, the challenges, I don't think you've addressed that point. Let
Oh,
us
the
talk
challenges
about a
are,
few challenges that
I
can
think,
come in the way.
okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, of course I can address that as well. So there, as I said, there are a lot of challenges. One is selecting the technology. Two is testing the technology. Three
Right.
is making the technology actually work on the day, right? So that is one part of the technology challenge. You may have your own challenges of adoption of that technology in your organization, right? So some technology, your guys may say, oh, this is too much, I can't do it. Maybe then, and you have to listen to them, right?
Right.
Although you can at this moment almost force them to do a few things,
Yeah.
but you need to know where are your limits. So uh, I think the biggest challenge is on how to bring your audience on board, right? Because
Right.
they are getting too many invites every day. So how do you stand out? So I think more than worrying about the platform, you should be worried about how you brand yourself or your event in the marketplace, because you will have competition also picking on the same guys, right? So how do you stand out? How do you bring engagement to that platform? The other thing is, how do you manage your attendee management itself, right? So how do you invite people, almost like a physical event, but then there is a different set of things. So attendee management, technology, how you sell it internally, how do you so there are a bunch of challenges from everywhere. And while we kind of take care of the technology challenges, we expect the client to take care of the internal adoption challenges. We also, like Matt also works on the content side, where he defines the communication strategy, the strategy to build a hype within the guys who have already registered, right? So there are a lot of things. And again, the biggest challenge, again with a lot of interest, is around gamification. What is the kind of gamification which is there?
Right.
So I would say everything is challenging, Lavina, but the good thing is the solutions are out there. All needs to be done is just have a cool head, have a good team in place, and have a focused strategy.
Right. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go to Matt now and ask him a couple of questions, and Tariq, and then we'll take audience questions. There are a few questions, but I think it's better we just take them at the end of
Right.
it. So Matt, I think you're on mute. If you can unmute, yeah. Okay, so tell me, Matt, Ratnesh just mentioned that you also handle the content bit of things. So tell me something, what is your take? Are platforms more important, or the creativity is more important? What is it that you put first?
Well, so you need to consider both of them very carefully, obviously, because they're both critical elements of the strategy. You need to get the right platform. If you don't get the right platform, there's going to be a whole load of issues that are probably going to come up later on as you're planning your event. You're going to realize it's not fit for your purpose. It doesn't let you engage people in the right way. But the truth is, if you get even if you get the decision about your platform 100% right, you absolutely pick the best platform that's absolutely suited best to your needs, and you don't put the thought into your content, then at the very best, all you're going to do is you're going to achieve a moderately successful and competent event, something mediocre. You're not going to be coming up. You're not going to be doing anything amazing. And so this goes back a little bit to the challenges that Ratnesh was just talking about, because in my view, the biggest challenge is that with a virtual event, you're competing for people's attention. A lot of the time, especially these days, people are at home. They've got the option anytime they want. Okay, at a real life event, they might just think, right, I've had enough of this. I'm going to go and sit at the bar and have a drink. But there'll still be a certain amount of peer pressure around attendees to engage. It's what they're there for, all that sort of thing. With a virtual event, it's very easy for someone to say, right, I've seen enough. This isn't pressing the right buttons, anything like that, and then just go and fire up Netflix or whatever it is they'd normally be doing when they're sitting at home. And that's where the content comes in, because you need to make sure that the content is giving your audience an experience that they're going to consider is worth the investment of their attention that they're putting into it. So yeah, just the brief answer to the question is really that both elements are absolutely vitally important. The platform one is perhaps slightly easier to get right, but isn't going to give you the amazing results that people are looking for from these projects. Getting the content right, providing the experience, providing the information, the knowledge, and making your attendees think that that joining in was a worthwhile use of their time is absolutely critical. If you don't do that, if you don't get that right, your event is going to be mediocre at best.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that, Matt. I'm going to ask one last question to Tariq, and then we will take up some audience questions. Tariq,
Sure.
tell me something. Yeah. Just tell us a little bit about what are the most exciting projects that you've done so far.
Okay.
What is the most exciting one that you've done?
Actually, there have been multiple projects that we I have delivered and we are delivering, and So my definition of exciting is the challenges that we are seeing now, and this COVID time, like every new day, there's a new challenge. So majorly all the projects are kind of exciting. But I'm going to use these two examples here. Like these are really the case studies, and so there's one technology company that we have, like one of the biggest technology company, and they would do they would actually do, and my answer and this case study is very much connected to the creativity part that just Matt just answered. So the concern that client had, they actually had the technology, and they had the technology, but they knew how to use the technology, and they knew that technology is really helping them get whatever the results that they wanted. But the concern was in today's time of COVID, when everything was locked down, people were not really going to the office. They actually wanted to do a sales kickoff, and sales kickoff would have like 300 or 400 people, and they were looking out for options to do some kind of gamification, or maybe to get some kind of engagement that happened and that they could do. So now the creativity part counts. Like it has nothing related to technology. Technology was totally fine, but yeah, what made that project really creative was this time around, like we sat down, we brainstormed on different ideas, and then we decided that let's not do the regular sales kickoff. Instead, let's make it more interesting, and let's do a wine tasting kickoff.
Okay, I think Tariq has frozen.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay, Ratnesh, you want to continue this?
Um, well, actually, then that question has to be for me and my most exciting event. So,
Yes.
all right, then I'll probably not talk about what Tariq was saying, but probably another one, right? So I think the other one which I want to mention again for another technology client. So the funny thing was that they were going out there in the market looking for platforms, and we also did our thing. They actually went ahead with some more partners, and eventually the client did not select anything from the market, and they built their own platform, right? And I think it was good. Actually, it's one of the best at the moment in the market. But then, we kind of were suddenly grappling with the situation because we were supposed to help them with the platform, but they have the platform now.
And now you're going to them for the platform.
And so now they are talking about us kind of helping them take their platform global. I mean, they have a plan themselves in the sense that we could be part of their global plan. So essentially, we could now become their partners from providers, right? So
Yeah.
it's been quite a funny turn, still work in progress all the way. But it was quite funny for us from that perspective.
Super. Okay,
Guys,
so
my
I
apologies.
think
I think
Tariq's
my
back.
internet.
Tariq is back. Good to have you back, Tariq. Tell us. I think you're on mute. Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my apologies. Like I actually like it has been raining around my place since morning, and I'm having some pretty bad internet. Sorry for that. Okay, so
The most exciting project.
oh yeah, the most exciting project. Yeah, so something that was very exciting was getting the wines delivered to everyone's place, and all the salespeople, they were like when they actually received that wine, and like everyone was very excited and everyone joined, and it was kind of a gamification that we did. So I just wanted to bring in the creative part. So nowadays, like people use like technology is one aspect of how you are connecting, but making sure that people are like are you able to deliver the content? Are you like are you able to engage your attendee? Are you able to gauge whether your attendees are engaged? These are some of the parameters that are kind of very important from the perspective that you as an event manager, like really realistically, you should be able, you're supposed to know about it, whether you're getting all of that data or not.
Right.
So I'll move now to my next. Like I know, like you only asked for the most exciting, but
No, please share. Please
yeah.
share more.
So we recently are doing this particular project. I believe Ness was talking a little. Like Ness, did you just mention about the recent project where we are integrating the product of our
Yeah, I
client.
did. Well, actually, I did. So I was just wondering if you would like to just jump onto the questions from everybody because probably you don't have much time. I mean,
Yeah,
up
yeah,
to you,
absolutely.
Lavina, up to you completely how you want to take that.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a few questions. I'm just going to ask the question, and then any of you, whoever wants to take it up, may please do so. So the first question that we have here is from Shrikant. Shrikant Murthy asks, how do you handle tech adoption when using an avatar-based virtual platform in terms of training attendees at scale? So how do you handle
Yes, so
tech
I can,
adoption?
yeah, I can take that, Lavina, if that's all right,
Yes.
because we have kind of faced these questions from clients all the time.
Yeah, right.
Right. So I think if you're going for an avatar-based environment, it is all about developing a solid communication strategy, right? So which means that when somebody registers, between that point to when he attends, are you kind of educating him about what to expect when he lands there, right? So how that can be done essentially is with some smart options like doing 30 seconds videos on, hey, by the way, did you know that in an avatar environment you can dress up like this, right? And you do a 30-second, and they'll be excited. And to know more about how you can dress for the event, just click here. So that basically just takes them to a part of the event where they can just try new dresses, probably call each other, do some, probably participate in a game. So that could be one. The second is, we were thinking about, like, go and prepare yourself for a virtual event. So you click on a link, go there, see how things work, see how you move forward, backward, how do you dress, how do you see, how do you store, right? So there are, I mean, these are just my examples, I mean, our examples, but then as Tariq and Matt are saying, that it's all about getting creative, right? You can also connect that. Like, recently we were not into this, but we started getting requests, a few requests in the US really, where they want to send a physical hamper to the attendees of
Right.
these events, right?
Right.
And if
Right.
that's happening, then that's also a part of creativity. Like, how do you use your marketing in that box, and
Sure.
how does that, so a lot of creativity around that really, and everything has to be out of the box. Like, I heard some guys in the US. Uh, for award events, they are actually going to DoorDash, and DoorDash is like Uber Eats in the US. So DoorDash kind of delivers precisely at the moment when lunch break is happening, right? For example, logistically, how easy or hard it is, you can imagine yourself. But if a client wants to go that extra mile and do that extra thing to be different,
Yeah.
I think we are seeing a lot of that.
A lot of, yeah, I've been hearing a lot of this as well, a whole lot of phygital experiences. So physical actually merging with digital, and that's creating a better experience for everyone involved. So this is a very interesting thing, like Tariq spoke about the wines, then there are boxes, there's event kits, there's do-it-yourself, there's customized backgrounds. I know that people are doing a whole lot of stuff, and getting everyone involved to this. So yeah, so Shrikant, I hope that that has answered your question. We have another question from Priyanka Mitra. Um, she says, I would prefer to have a platform that merges with my website and give a seamless engagement to my audiences. Is such a tech available? Any of you who would want to take up this question? Matt?
Matt, do you want to pick that one?
Yes, please.
Matt, you're on mute.
Sorry, there we go. Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about that one. So with that, it would really depend what sort of seamless engagement you wanted to give. I mean, so there are some fairly straightforward ways you can do things like launch a webinar or a Facebook Live or various things like that directly from a website, even a Zoom conversation. I mean, and at the very foundational level of what a virtual event is, that's what you're talking about, really, something like that, some kind of webinar session. So the more you distance what you're doing, the more sophisticated your plans are for what you want to do with your event, the more difficult then that will obviously come it will become to integrate that directly to a website, and the more likely you are going to want to move off and use some kind of dedicated platform. Build your own if you've got the resources. That's probably out of the reach of most people, but it can be done. And then there's always at that point you've got the challenge of migrating your users from your website to the environment you're using, and there's always going to involve some kind of data transfer there, data migration. So it's going to involve privacy laws and GDPR and that kind of thing. So the the broad high-level answer is I don't know of a solution at the moment that does exactly what you're asking in terms of running a sophisticated online or virtual event. You could definitely do something simple in that manner.
Just give me a moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Priyanka to unmute herself and kind of ask the question herself, because I think that'll be a nicer way to do this. Priyanka, I am.
Hi, yeah, thanks, Lavina. Yeah, so Matthew, the thing is, when we are trying to embed something even as simple as a Zoom call, typically we are being told that the invites are being routed through Zoom, or that a client is getting a Zoom invite. He's not getting a invite from my website or so it becomes layered, and
yes.
at times that puts you off, because by now, thanks to the lockdown, people have attended so many Zoom webinars or calls and stuff that the whole excitement or interest level goes down at the mention of at the name of a platform, sorry to say. So while the interaction or engagement level with something that they have been aligned with from before 2020 hit us is something that they might not have a problem with. But the moment I say that this is yet another Zoom webinar that's going to happen, it sort of, A, it puts them off, B, it becomes a layered conversation wherein it is going via Zoom. So I'm looking for more permanent solutions which can reside on my website and provide me opportunities to present, say, a live workshop or a webinar or some kind of a video or audio input kind of a thing. But the hosting to the audience looks like that it is happening from the website that they are used to visiting and not from a third party. That's what I need an answer to.
Sure, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, the brief answer really is yes, there's a couple of platforms that we work with that allow integration to an extent of the type you're talking. They will let you do, the way to look at it really is they offer a white label service. So they offer a service that can be rebranded, it can be hosted in your own domain, everything about the look and feel of it can be customized. For a fee, of course, that you pay to use their enterprise edition, and then you have a very bespoke looking product. It is still a step removed from your website because, as I said, I think you still are going to want to do some even some very basic data capture on the people that are attending, which means you are going to need some kind of registration, which typically you wouldn't have for a website, right? But when it comes to building something entirely integrated, yeah, I mean, as far as I know, there's nothing, there's no platform at the moment that provides something that you could integrate entirely. There would be the registration hurdle would always be there, as I said. But this is a very fast changing market, and if this is the kind of thing that people are demanding, and I know they are, people are very interested in these products that can be delivered as white labeled services. That there's going to be something coming up, I'm sure, which would fill those precise needs. But at the moment, I'd say it's a question of varying, having to work around the limitations to varying extents, either by totally building the platforms from scratch yourself, which obviously then you can do anything you want, or to using one of the services we work with that allows a white label level of service and does allow you to directly integrate into your own domain. Yeah, that's definitely something that we can help you with.
Super.
Great.
Thank you.
Just to add,
Priyanka, did that answer your question?
Yes, yes, thanks, Lavina.
Thank you.
All right.
I think
just to
Lavina,
add to,
while we are on that, sorry Tariq to cut you
sorry.
because I want to bring you in because Tariq is doing something like this for a large tech client. It may not be 100% integration like Matt said, right? But they are trying to do something similar, Priyanka. So maybe you want to give 30 seconds to Tariq. He's kind of on that project
Yes.
already. Yeah, so he knows about
Tariq?
Hi, Priyanka. Priyanka, thank you for bringing that question. Yes, I totally understand your concern here that people are moving from one website to another website, and the concern is your clients. They're not very much habitual of going to ABC website and then moving to suddenly Zoom, that is outside of the website, and then logging in again. So one process of how you can actually how you can really resolve this issue is by looking at your partner, not necessarily Zoom, but maybe any other partner. Understand your requirement, whether it's just a webinar that you want to do or it's kind of a conference that you want to do. Start to look out for a different partner and see if they have an open integration. Because see, we need to understand that at the end of the day, in order to attend the event, everyone will have to go to the third party application, which in your case is Zoom. So basically, they will be in order to access their platform, people will have to use the URLs generated by the platform provider. So the first thing that you have to do is check whether there is any kind of open integration, maybe SOAP or REST API, which is provided by your provider. And then second, just check, as Matt mentioned, look out for white labeling. So what happens in white labeling, I don't think that Zoom actually provides you 100% white labeling, but there are some providers, what they actually do is, for example, if your company's website is Eventpreneur, right? And whenever somebody is moving from Eventpreneur to Zoom, you actually don't want anything of it that is related to Zoom appear. So what you can do is using white labeling as a custom feature. You can it's something called custom domains. You can actually have Zoom change the URLs and match those your URLs very much to your website URL. So in fact, Zoom will generate URL something like eventpreneur.com/events name or Zoom ID or whatever. So people don't really get to know. For them, they are still staying at your website, but at the back end, they actually get using integration. They get moved from your website to other website, and the other website is just trying to not show their identity. They will always try and show your identity as a customer, like as part of customization.
Thank you, Tariq. That was really interesting. And Lavina, can I really hog your time by asking another question?
Please do. Please do. Please feel free.
So, Tariq, what I wanted to understand, and I'm probably jumping the gun right now, is that people like me who are community holders, when we go with, and I'm taking Zoom as an example, there are many others. It's the most often used, so I'm just taking that name as an example. But I am also worried that my entire database is getting exposed to Zoom or whoever is there. So is there, I mean, and I am probably not talking products which are in the market, but since you guys develop these things, I'm also talking from a perspective of the kind of stuff we will need. I don't want to expose my database of community to a third party vendor for anything, So while white labeling is good, but does that allow me to also keep my database private, or is that absolutely not possible?
Okay, so see, there is something called PII, being PII compliant. But yeah, let me step back a little bit. I want to mention here, Priyanka, is so these companies like Zoom or all of them are partners, and eventually we'll have to work with the partners. And whenever we have to work with the partners, we actually have to rely on them for things like that. Like first, so like we'll have to just be we can actually ask them for for some documentation where they can confirm that the data will not be released out to anyone or something. And companies like Zoom and other bigger platform providers, they do provide that documentation. In case you want to check, you can actually ask for it from the client, from them specifically. Second thing is, just a minute here. Okay. So the second thing, you're concerned about community and then data. So, and the second thing that I've noticed or I've seen clients doing, and like generally the US accounts and the European accounts they do, after doing an event, and if they know that they're actually using a partner, third party account, they delete. They ask for something called scrubbing. They ask these partners to delete the data of all the attendees after maybe 6 months or 1 year. So the data gets automatically deleted. So bigger companies like Google does it, or maybe like other bigger companies also do it. They do not keep the data forever at their partner site. They just take out the data and keep it with them, and they delete the data. So just check with your partner if they're okay with deleting the data after 6 months or whenever.
So I just want to add on to Tariq, guys, if that's all right, because like I face a lot of questions, Priyanka, around GDPR compliance. And as you know that GDPR is a big thing in Europe, and the way people manage, store and destroy data, it's a big thing. Even in the US, there's another standardization. In India, it's not there. But then I think in some way and form it is coming. But for example, your concerns are the same as an European client, right? They are very sensitive about their data, and so are you, right? So maybe with the partner you work with, you can kind of tell them that you guys need to meet GDPR compliance standards, right? And your legal or DPO data protection team can help you put those clauses in the agreement with your partners, which essentially means that you are handling my data, but you are not authorized to share, distribute, and you also have to tell me how you process the information and how you destroy the data when it's no more required. So I think, I mean, most marketing teams have to bring in data protection and privacy teams here, and also your legal, so they can probably help you kind of term that in the agreement itself, so that you kind of, when you give that data out, you should be 100% secure that you have done everything you should have done to ensure that your data is protected.
Priyanka, I guess that answers.
Yeah, that really answers my question. Thank you so much. Like in most other things, we have a lot of catching up to do with the first world, is what I understand.
Absolutely. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you, Ratnesh. Another question that we have coming in on our Facebook Live is from Imam. He says, "What are the other options to Zoom? Just to Zoom, not getting into the virtual space or anything. Just what are the other options for Zoom?"
I think Tariq can take that one. I mean, he has several options, I guess.
Tariq, you're on mute.
Yep. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So absolutely. So see, there are actually many, a lot of partners out there in the market which are quite good and which are very much like Zoom, or maybe things that there are some things that they actually do better than Zoom. So like generally, if I would speak to Imam, I would actually ask him about what exactly his expectations are from Zoom and why does he really want to move out of Zoom. Because is there something specifically that he is unable to find, like he's not getting in Zoom? So, but maybe since I don't know about that, maybe there's some of the options that I pretty much like are Webinar Jam, a beautiful platform where you can actually start to build your webinar completely, and you can create your rooms, and plus you can actually there are some elements of gamification as well. And I pretty much like it, and I actually have recommended that Webinar Jam to a lot of my clients. Apart from that, there is another one called Blue Jeans. They have been in the market for really long. They are one of the most reliable webinar providers, and the UI is quite beautiful. If you actually have to compare it with Zoom. Then the next I would suggest is Webex, Cisco's Webex. So these are the three go-to platforms that I see if I have to replace if I have to move out of Zoom and I have to go into something else.
Tariq, can I request you to put those names in the chat just so that we know that, and then I'm also going to put it on the Facebook Live so that everyone.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
The next question we have is from Ram from Impresario. Ram wants to know which is the best platform for an online exhibition, and any of the panelists can answer. So an online exhibition. Who would like to take that? Ratnesh, Matt?
Yeah, Matt, he's our partnership lead, so he knows best. Matt, you're on mute. Sorry,
Matt, you're on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute.
Sorry, absolutely. I was going to refer this one to Tariq as he's our technology expert, but I have a quick go at it, and perhaps he can put me right if I overlook anything. But so again, it depends what your exhibition is. It depends what the parameters are around your exhibition. We work, and it also depends how much what sort of experience you want to provide your attendees, going back to experience again. So we work with a couple of platforms that have been used very successfully for big exhibition type. It was an exhibition specifically we're asking about, right? Yeah, online exhibition. So we work with a couple of platforms which have been used very successfully for very good online exhibitions, presentations, that sort of thing. Anything, can be anything from an art gallery to a fashion show, awards evenings, presentations. One of them is VFairs, which people probably know if they've done an initial investigation into what platforms are available. VFairs has probably come up. It's very flexible in the environments you can set up, allow you to have lots of different configurations, and you can easily use it for events where you need to have a lot of people together in an auditorium or a viewing area. Another one that we are getting a lot of inquiries about from our clients is a slightly more sophisticated environment, which is Hyperfair. We work quite closely with the guys at Hyperfair because we identified their platform as being something that's very very innovative, and it's very cutting edge. It's high end, and the sort of thing our clients would be interested in, because they really want to put on experiences that will stand out from the crowd of other people's virtual events. And that's a very 3D immersive avatar driven environment where you actually navigate around the environment from a first person perspective. You can look at anything that you'd see in a real life event, you can replicate in a kind of virtual reality environment. So those are two platforms that come to mind immediately. They both do a great job for exhibitions and that sort of thing. Tariq, would there be anything else in particular people might want to look at?
Okay, Ram, I can unmute. Ram, if you'd like to ask the question, you can unmute yourself, please.
Thanks, Matt. I just wanted to know, see, there are already, even before the COVID, there are online exhibitions were happening in the property segment, builder and all those stuff. But then in terms of customer products, basically customer durables like refrigerators or televisions, the touch and feel is very important. So I was looking at, is there any kind of platform where, of course, you cannot have the physical touch and feel, but is there any way, a kind of a sensational stuff could be maybe using an augmented reality or something, anything could be applied.
Absolutely. So yeah, so the Hyperfair environment that we mentioned before, that allows you to have you can do it's like a product demonstration. You can have so you're right, obviously you can't touch it, we're not quite there yet. We don't have the haptic feedback gloves or whatever you'd need to be able to get the touch sensation. They're not quite there yet, but you can examine the object in 3D on your screen. You can move it around, look at it from different angles. There are lots of several platforms that allow that kind of functionality. Again, we're also working with on different projects. Like for example, we're looking at a project with a fashion retailer in the US, and that's an environment. They're looking at an interactive environment where you can actually, it's almost like you're standing in a showroom. You have you have models wearing all the different clothing items. You can view them from different angles. You can get a close up on a swatch of the fabric, so that will give you that sensory experience. If you want to see what the fabric looks like, at the level as you see it with your eyes, you can actually bring up a swatch of the fabric. So there's different ways to replicate different sensory experiences. When you're reduced by technology to only having your senses of sight and sense of hearing to process them with. There are ways in a virtual space you can try and get across some of those other sensory experiences, and that's definitely something that we put a lot of thought into with our clients. It's how to it all comes down to the immersiveness, the level of immersion you want. And again, if you've got you're planning far enough and ahead, and you're putting a lot of resources into your event, then yes, you can come up with very sensory experiences which allow very in-depth examination of complex models, that sort of thing. Is that sort of covering the ground you were looking to cover there?
Yes, Matt. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ratnesh, you're sharing something?
Yeah, Matt. So Matt was just talking about something like this. So I just wanted to quickly see if I can just share an example. So basically, this is just an example of how you can reimagine a retail space, right? So pardon my internet. I think I'm kind of also on Zoom, right? So let me see. So for example, this is an environment. Just give me 1 second, right? So I'm just trying to show an example of, what, let me just try this one, for example. Okay. So this is like, this is something which is like a car showroom. So if you see, the whole environment is a virtual environment. So if you're talking about a refrigerator or any other product, right? So it can be in a 3D CAD. So if we have the 3D CAD of that product, which most products have, right? Even every car has a CAD. Once you have the CAD file, you can actually have it in this environment. And like one of the projects which Matt was talking about, where essentially we are giving the user an experience to actually open the door, get inside, see what's inside the car. It's just not outside like this. So that is so that possibility is obviously there. So once again, the whole thing outside is fine, and a lot of people can work on that. But I think it's all about giving the inside experience, right? Because the guy is going to be sitting inside. He wants to see where the panels are. And I think this is what we are actually proposing to Mercedes in the UK. Actually, I was talking about that. So that's why I had this example handy, and I just wanted to quickly show that to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ratnesh. Great.
No worries.
Thank you, Ram. Okay, we have a question now coming in from, again, from the Facebook live feed. This is from Archan Gurtu. The question is, what softwares are used for broadcasting and mixing, and where can I get custom domain, and what is the difference? So let's take the first one. What softwares are used for broadcasting and mixing?
Well, actually, we needed to have another technology guy on this call who's more aware of this part, because we did not intend to get too technical today. But then, we can put Tariq's email ID on the chat. If anybody has any further follow-up questions, then we can kind of ask, let them know. That's not a problem. But probably we don't have the right team, the right guys.
I can speak very
a little bit. Okay, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Terry. Did you want to address that?
I'm good. Go ahead.
No, I mean, like I can speak briefly from a high level point of view. So yeah, I mean, I know that lots of the platforms that we use, they do use various different video services and video technologies. They're integrated into the platforms themselves. Some of them use their own video codecs, that kind of thing, for doing live streaming. Some of them tap into things like Zoom. So you have a Zoom technology connected to the platform on the back end, and that's what people will actually use when they're doing their, you know, if they want to live stream directly through the platform. You know, all of the big ones really, Webex, you know, some of the platforms allow integration with, or they will be already integrated with something like Webex. So that's the actual backbone of the technology that you're using. Whereas, yes, as I said, some of them use completely proprietary systems to manage all of that. I think that sort of covers the question from a high level.
Maybe just to add on that, let me add like 2 or 3 pointers here. So very good question about video editing. So generally, just for the complete audience, like I just want to mention that video editing is something. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see
you. Having a pretty bad internet, so I think I might have to keep my video off. Sorry guys, like it has been raining since morning, so yeah, like it's pretty bad here. So yeah, I wanted to mention that generally a video editing is something that you want to do when you are creating some kind of an on-demand videos. Now the point is, like, do you want, like in your event, do you want to run those on-demand videos? Yes, no. If yes, for those on-demand videos, there are actually platforms like Adobe you might want to go for. Adobe actually has some like something called Adobe Premiere Pro. You can go for that, or maybe you might want to try Vimeo. But like if you have to ask me about which is better between Vimeo and Adobe, I personally prefer Vimeo. Both are like really good, but I personally prefer Vimeo because Vimeo is a platform. You would see a lot of webinar providers like Zoom, or maybe if you go for something like Hopin, Certain, they already have an inbuilt integration with it. So basically, you're editing an online video right away, and you're actually like it's a live streaming video that you're editing, and you're streaming it on your webinar or on a third-party webinar system that you might be using. So I personally prefer Vimeo, but if it's something that I have to create some on-demand videos, some content, then I can easily go for Adobe and create those videos, and I can publish them. So the answer is Vimeo or Adobe is what I prefer.
Excellent. All right. I don't think that there are any more questions. There are a few questions that are on the Facebook live stream, but I'm going to take the liberty of putting Tariq's email ID there, so they can bombard him with these questions. So, I mean, questions like give us references of people who can do some back-end work for us, who does broadcasting, etc., etc. There are several questions that are coming up on WhatsApp. I will just put Tariq's email ID on that, and he can probably take that up directly, right? So I think that's about all the time that we have now. I just want to say thank you so much, Ratnesh. Thank you so much, Matt and Tariq, for joining us. And it's been a really insightful session. A lot to learn, and always a lot to learn from all of you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Lavina, and thanks everybody for taking time out. I know everybody is busy, so we really appreciate you taking time out. Just want to add that with Lavina, we started this journey a few months before COVID. Discussing how we can help build the momentum in India from an events technology standpoint, because not many companies in India were in the events technology space. So I think it's an ongoing learning cycle which we will have with Lavina and Eventpreneur, and we will try to come in more often maybe and take questions and answers. It's more about a peer-to-peer networking and sharing of knowledge. That's the objective we have in spending our time on this call, and hope to inspire people everywhere really on events.
I have a whole lot of questions that are coming in, which are saying that can we see some videos of some of the recent work you've done, but I will leave that out now for this time. But maybe in the next one, I think we just need to do a demo showcase, showcases of various events that you have done, a few case studies. That'll be nice, I think, for the next.
I think last call we did the demos, so this call we wanted more open.
No, this is actual videos of the ones that you have already done. We did a demo of the
next time I think Tariq will be in a position to share a couple of
share a few case studies in the next one.
Interesting ones.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Super. Thank you again. Thank you, Ratnesh. Thank you, Matt. Been a pleasure.
Thank you, Lavina. Thank you, everybody.
Pleasure to have you guys on board.
Take care, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Cheers. See you soon.
Thank you, Lavina.
Thank you.